Pennsylvania Congressman Representative Fred Keller. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Heather. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
So first of all, I would like you to respond to this. Immediately, the mainstream media referring to the protesters, as I mentioned earlier, as mourners instead of Iranian-backed militiamen. We had Ted Cruz responding to something that Joy Reid had said, where he says, "We root for American soldiers. What's wrong with you? Is partisan hatred really that deep? We root for American soldiers, not against them." So what is your take on the immediate response?
Well, I would agree with Senator Cruz. When you look at what's happened over in Iraq and who's supporting it, you got these Iranian-backed people supporting this. I think that the Democrats are vastly overplaying, their hand in criticizing the president. You looked at what's happened. This has happened because the president believes in negotiating from a position of strength. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some people on the other side that believe that negotiating from a position of weakness is better. And I agree with the president. We need to show the world that America is strong, that America stands for good, and that we're going to stand up for that and keep our promises and make sure that the other foreign governments are keeping their promises to us.
Yeah, Senator Cruz's response was in reference to Joy Reid tweeting out that this is Trump's Benghazi. And it has been handled completely and totally different than how that was handled under the Obama administration. And as you mentioned, you have a lot of Democrats running for president who, of course, responded immediately. And we can pull some of those up for people at home. Liz Warren saying Trump's reckless decisions to launch airstrikes in Iraq without Iraqi government consent have brought us closer to war. You have Tulsi Gabbard saying that Trump's military strike against Iranian militia was impulsive, short-sighted, lacked strategic purpose. Senator Chris Murphy saying Trump has rendered America impotent in the Middle East. No one fears us. No one listens to us. What a disgrace. And then Senator Markey saying mismanagement of the Middle East. So kind of go through with us the significant differences in what the Obama administration did and how they responded to, not only Benghazi, but overall issues in the Middle East, perhaps, the Iranian nuclear agreement as well, with what President Trump has done and handled.
Well, again, it's a matter of whether America negotiates from a position of strength or a position of weakness. Under the Obama administration, paying people and entering into agreements. You look at the Iran nuclear deal that President Obama got into with Iran. Is basically saying, I'll pay you today not to make your nuclear weapons until tomorrow. I mean, it almost seems like he didn't want it happening on his watch. President Trump's looking at a long-term strategy for stabilization in that region and around the world. And when you look at President Trump's policies, and some people are looking, I know you mentioned some people saying it's his Benghazi. No, it's not. It's been handled totally differently. When somebody attacks Americans or Americans' interests, the President Trump stands up for them. And I think the world needs to understand that. He's willing to show, America's teeth in these situations around the world. And when they don't respond appropriately, then he's willing to show them America's bite and make sure that our foreign policy to advance good around the world is taken seriously. It hasn't been done in the past. And, when he's trying to get these things done, the criticism that's coming from the left is people that have had these policies that have not worked. Right. President Trump has tried some things that are different than what has been done in the past. And you can look at the success he's had, not just around the world, but here at home. But everybody, when he said we're going to start making people pay their fair share in NATO, everybody criticized that, but now more nations are doing that. So when you look at the successes he's had, Elizabeth Warren can criticize everything she wants. Mm-hmm. She always talks about people in America paying their fair share, but then President Trump, goes out and says, "Hey, look, we're going to make foreign governments pay their fair share."
Right, she's against it. Finally, though, I did want you to respond to this before we go, because we do have additional troops headed over there for support. President Trump campaigned on bringing our troops home, and he stands by that, and you do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the long-term strategy is what you need to look towards here. And right now, this is part of responding to when somebody, we had an American contractor killed, and the president responded to that. And now he's making sure that the Americans in our embassy are going to be safe by sending additional troops over there. I think some of the criticism you're seeing from the Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, and some of the establishment, Speaker Pelosi, you look at people that have been in politics for decades, and what have they really shown? And then you have a person, Donald Trump, who's a businessman who says, hey, I'm going to run for president, do things a little bit differently. And as a non-politician, he's done more in 3 years than they've done in decades. And their disdain for him is probably because he's successful in doing what's right and answering and advancing American policy around the world and helping our economy here at home, things they've been unable to accomplish.
All right. Congressman Keller, thank you so much. We really appreciate your insight this morning, and I'm sure all of our troops and their family members that are watching as well do too. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, thank you to our troops and the work that they do every day. We need to be supporting them and making sure that we support them every way we can. And President Trump's been doing that, and I'm committed to doing that also. They've done so much for us.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you.